Hi guys, welcome back to AFTV. It's the international break, and I think we've been able to use this week as a little bit of reflection on how Arsenal have been doing the last couple of months. Obviously the upturn in form has been great, and one thing that has coincided with the turn in form is the introduction of signings. Obviously Ramsdale playing a lot more, Ben White getting comfortable in the team, Tomiyasu, and it's been great to see. I think we've all been really enjoying it. So I thought we'd just take this opportunity to rate not just this window, but every single signing under Mikel Arteta and Edu. They've been working together since last summer, the summer going into the 2020-21 season, and I thought we'd use this opportunity to rate them. Now, how am I going to do this? Well, I think we're going to do a star system, basically. 1 star to 5 star. 1 star, basically awful. Nothing's worked with this signing. And there's a few in there, there's a couple in there, not too many. Up to 2 stars, we're basically going to say that he's done okay, had no great impact on the team though, but it's been all right, I suppose. 3-star player is a player that is performing much better than expected, a player that actually maybe surprised us and actually doing a lot more than we perhaps expected them to when we signed them. A 4-star player is a player that's just played very well since their arrival. Nothing, not right in the headlines necessarily, but definitely improving the team and definitely having a good impact on the side as well and playing well within themselves as well. And then 5-star is obviously a player that's just surprised us all, absolutely taken it by storm and has taken the team on levels. You can see that the team is better when they are in there. So let's get into it. Now, what am I going to be using as kind of considerations to be rating these players? I think I've got 3 I'm looking at here. I've got them written down here. I'm looking at individual performances, how they're doing by themselves, the impact they've had on the team, and the fee we've paid. They always say you should ignore the fee, but it plays a part when we're rating the signing, not the player, how good they are. When we're rating the signing, the fee absolutely matters. So we're going to be taking that into consideration as well. Right, let's go straight into it. We're going to open with the 2 players that Arteta brought in January when he arrived, I think, in December. Obviously he didn't have really any money to spend in that January. So a loan and another player, well, 1 loan, I think 2 loans actually, and then they ended up becoming full-time signings. Cedric and Pablo Mari. Now let's start with Cedric. Came in on a loan, ended up being a free transfer from Southampton. I think Cedric's done okay in that he is what he is. He's a backup signing, he's a backup right back. When he's come in, I think he's done fine. There's been the odd error leading to goal, but generally I don't think anyone was expecting him to come in and be the first choice right back. And in fact, I'd go as far as to say there have been some performances in there where he's done really, really well. So I'm going to give him a 2-star because he's done okay, but it's had no great impact on the team. Arsenal haven't necessarily been better for Cedric signing. You look, he's fallen behind Callum Chambers, Hector Bellerin as well. So yeah, I'll give him a 2-star for Cedric. Pablo Mari, sticking with 2-star as well. Now, I've got to be honest, I like Pablo Mari. I actually do. I think he's not looked great this season when he's played. Last season when he stepped in, there were times he was keeping Gabriel out the side. For what, 12 million? I think between 7 to 12 million, something like that. Again, he's done fine, but have the team improved for Pablo Mari's introduction, for the signing? I'm not sure personally. So I go with the 2-star. I feel a bit bad. I feel like he could have been a 3-star. You could argue he's performed better than people expected. I don't think anyone really knew who he was when we signed him. So I'm flirting with the 3-star, but I want to stick with 2 just because I'm not sure he's had that real impact. And when you look at some of the other 3-stars, which you'll see a little bit later, you might see what I mean. But I do like Pablo Mari, and I think he'll prove a good squad player. Now we go into his first summer and also sort of moving into some of those January deals to rectify some of that summer business as well. We've got to start with the first one that came in then, and that is Willian. And I'm sorry, it's going to be a 1. It's going to be a 1-star. I give Willian all the credit for leaving, tearing up his contract, not taking any money from it, and just saying, look, it wasn't about money. I actually wanted to come and play a part, and I'm off now. I really rate that, but as a sign, it was an absolute disaster. I'm going to put a little bit on Arteta and say that I don't think we always used him properly, but I looked at things, I felt work ethic was missing. I felt the quality we knew he could show at Chelsea, and even showed the year before when he was in great form. It wasn't there. Absolute disaster from start to finish, even though we brought him in on a free transfer. So yeah, a 1-star. But I credit him with the way he left and all that. He did us a big favour, I have to say. The next player that came in after that, well, actually, he might have come in after this next one, but let's start with Gabriel. Gabriel is the first 5-star signing I'm going to give. And the reason being, when you look at him, he's coming for £27 million. We needed a left footer. We needed a centre-back who was athletically gifted, good in the air. I think this season, last season we saw elements of it, but he got COVID, I think, and maybe an injury as well. It kind of slowed down his development and progression. This season, he's been superb. I mean, he's on track for player of the season for us. The way he's playing, I think he is competing with some of the best the best centre-backs in the league right now. I think he is clawing his way into that discussion. I've loved him. Again, for 27 million, when you see what, I mean, even what we paid for Ben White, who, by the way, I'm going to give a very good rating to later, but Harry Maguire, 80 million, Ben White, 50 million. What centre-backs go for in this market? I think Gabriel for 27 million is absolute steal. 5-star signing for me so far. And if it doesn't work out, I'm not looking at him. I'll be looking at the coaches and be saying, what have you done to this guy? Because he's got it all. So yeah, absolutely superb signing. Let's move on to Alex Runarsson. Again, I've got to give it a 1-star. I feel a little bit for him, I have to, but it was a disaster. You know, a couple of performances didn't look great. One of the cost us a place in the Carabao Cup semi-final. I know City were very good. I know City are very good, but yeah, really poor on the day as well. Runarsson is a 1-star, and I don't think we've seen him since, apart from an appearance against Villa or Wolves, I think it was, off the bench. So yeah, 1-star for Runarsson. Let's move into Dani Ceballos. Now, obviously, he arrived under Unai Emery, but Arteta did extend his loan, or at least bring him back in on loan for another year. I'm going to give this a 2-star. I think a lot of people might feel there are a lot of high expectations, so I can't give him a 3-star where I'm saying they performed better than expected. He certainly didn't. But I also don't think he was a disaster. A lot of people might argue for that. But I think he came in, he did okay, obviously played in midfield when we won the FA Cup. You've got to give him huge credit for that and the part he played and all that. I thought he was great in that final. Obviously gets the winner in the quarterfinal against Sheffield United. And I thought he did okay. I think he was in and out. I think he couldn't really form a partnership with Partey or Xhaka. It didn't quite happen for him. I don't think he was always comfortable, but at times he was brilliant as well. And I think for 2 loans, you know, we never paid a fee. I think he did okay. So I'm going to give Ceballos a 2-star there. We then move into Thomas Partey. £45 million we paid when Arteta on deadline day decided to drop the cash off in Spain and activate the release clause. I think Thomas Partey is probably our best player in the squad. When everyone's at it, I think Thomas Partey is the best player we have. I love watching Thomas Partey play. I think there have been games, you think Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge, there have been games where he's imposed himself and been absolutely superb. There's even been games where the team's not been at it, and I think he still looked great. But I'm going to give him a 4-star, not a 5-star, because I think the injuries have been a bit of a problem. And I do think for all the great games, there have been a couple where he's not quite at it, or he's been a bit overrun. And you can look at tactics, absolutely, you can look at tactics in that situation. But I don't think we've quite got the Partey that we thought we were getting. For sure, we've seen moments, we've seen elements of it. I think when you look at it, he looks an absolute Rolls Royce of a midfielder. But I think injuries have played a part as well, so I'm going to give him a 4-star for that signing. Matt Ryan comes in on loan, 3-star, simple as that, 3-star. I think did better than we expected. I think we all knew decent goalkeeper, but in the couple appearances, I think he did well. And part of me was disappointed we didn't bring him back in as the backup, because you know he did love the club and all that. But yeah, 3-star for Matt Ryan. There's a loan deal in January from Brighton. That's decent business. Martin Odegaard. Now, this is a really tricky one to judge because I'm looking at Odegaard as the loan signing and then the £34 million signing this summer. Loan signing Odegaard for me is a 4-star. The reason is, if I refer to the criteria, again, 4-star because he played well since his arrival. Dare I say, he made a big difference to the team, you know, and then you're getting 5-star territory. I'm not going to go that high. I think when we signed him on loan, I think he made a difference immediately. Him and Smith Rowe together made a massive difference to our creativity, our transition through midfield. He scored a couple big goals, you think, in the North London derby, you think in that game away at Olympiacos. But since paying the 34 million, while I think we've seen great moments like the goal at Burnley, and we've seen touches of class, I think he's been in and around the 2-star level at that point. I think he's done okay, but not had the impact we wanted to see from him. So I'm going to average it out to a 3 because Odegaard, I think, has had his moments, but we know there's more to come, and the recent form hasn't been great. But I think there's an ultra talented player there, and I think over time he's going to prove a 5-star signing, a player who makes a massive difference to us, the kind of player that you think Arsenal are a different animal with Odegaard than without. He's not there yet, but I think he will be, and he's very young. So yeah, we will see about that and how he develops. And then we move into, as I said, Odegaard was one of the signings this summer. We move into the rest of them. Most of them are, well, in fact, all of them are pretty positive, as you can imagine. Let's start with Nuno Tavares. Now, I think we're all on this Tavares hype, and understandably so. He's been brilliant. I'm going to give him a 3-star because he's simply performing better than expected. Now, for £8 million, what he's been doing, you probably all want to say 5-star, 5-star. Look at what we've paid and what we're getting, and I understand that. I would just say I've seen also moments of kind of what a raw player he is. And it's only been a couple games as well in the Premier League, which is where I'm judging these players mostly. Tavares, I think, will prove a very shrewd bit of business. Certainly will prove a bargain, I think. The talent's there, the athleticism's there, and also defensively far more focused than I thought we were getting from these players who love to bomb forward. So I'm going to give him a 3-star. Likewise, I'm going to give a 3-star to Albert Sambi Lokonga. I think Lokonga's shown a lot of talent on the ball, a lot of quality. Gets involved, gets stuck in with tackles, interceptions, very elegant on the ball, shown he's got a bit of skill, trying things in that Brentford game when we were losing to make things happen. I think he's a very, very talented midfielder. I'll give him a 3-star though, because again, I wasn't sure what I was getting. We paid 18 million, and I think he's done well. Do I think he's been consistently brilliant since his arrival? No, I think there have been moments where he looks a little more out the game, but he's young, he's raw, and I think he'll get there. Like I said with Odegaard, like I'm saying with Tavares, I think they'll get there. Just right now, I'm going to give him a 3-star for the signing. And then we move on to Ben White, who came in after. £50 million signing. A lot of people wondering, what are Arsenal doing? £50 million. The Brentford game, people are saying, did we spend 50 million on a defender who can't head the ball? And then, lo and behold, it turns out everyone was overdoing it, as usual. People just lose their heads when Arsenal have one bad game. Although, at the time, it was one bad game. We saw what followed after. But then he missed some games because of COVID, came back, formed a partnership with Gabriel, and looking every bit worth the 50 million. I have to say, people are going to talk about who he's come up against. Well, Harry Kane, Danny Ings, it wasn't long ago that the media were talking about how brilliant these strikers are and the options England have. He kept both of them very, very quiet. I think he's been superb alongside Gabriel. And the reason I'm going to give him a 4-star, and I was tempted with 5-star, because 5-star, as I said, the criteria was that they make a huge difference to the team. And I do think Ben White makes a huge difference to the team. I just think there's been moments against Palace, there's been moments against Brentford where something's been lacking defensively. But overall, I think he's looked a very, very good signing. On the ball, superb. What he gives us going forward when he drives into midfield. Hey, if we did this video in a month's time, I might be saying 5-star. But 50 million for what we paid and what I think he's sometimes lacking defensively, sometimes overall I think he's been brilliant on the front foot, intercepting and all that. I'm going to stick with 4-star, but I'm very excited to see what more is to come from Ben White. Let's wrap up now. We've got 2 more. Aaron Ramsdale. It might be early to say this, but I'm slapping 5 stars on the Aaron Ramsdale signing. A lot of people were unsure, and I think that's a big reason. They clearly saw something that loads of people missed. From the Arsenal fans to the media, to even reading reports that Edu was looking at alternative options because he wasn't sure about the fee, but Arteta was pushing through, and the two of them got the deal done at 24 million. Remember, Sheffield United paid 18 million for him last summer. So to get him for 6 million more, plus whatever add-ons are coming, which could take to 30, I really think it's very decent business. Looking incredible on the ball, superb on the ball, dominating his area and pulling out those, I don't want to say saves for camera because they're very necessary, but oh my God, some of the saves he's pulled out as well. Now I always think of that one at Tottenham. The Leicester one was great, but the Tottenham one, superb. I think Aaron Ramsdale's looking superb. And you talk about character as well. You talk about what he does, illustrating, controlling the back four, talking to the fans, getting up with the fans. I love all this about him, and I think he's proving a 5-star signing immediately, I have to say it. And I'm going to give one more 5-star on Tomiyasu. Again, not a lot of people knew too much about him, but he fits perfectly. And again, what was the criteria? That they make a huge difference to the team. I think the right-hand side of the pitch looks far more functional now with Tomiyasu in the team. We used to say last season it was all down the left. It was all about Tierney, left. With Tomiyasu, I think we look far better in terms of our balance, far better in terms of dominating the air, not allowing people to get the victories in wide areas, winning headers from those diagonals. Tomiyasu's dominating. In that sense, I think his recovery runs are superb. On the ball, he looks very comfortable, very two-footed. Saka looks a lot more comfortable with him there as well than previous right-back options. And I just think for 16 million, I've got here 16 million, whatever it is we paid for him, but the point is no more than 20. I think that looks an incredibly shrewd bit of business for a very athletic, technically gifted footballer whose attitude looks absolutely spot on as well. So I'm giving Tomiyasu a 5-star as well. Guys, those are the ratings for the Arteta and Edu signings, looking back at all the way back to that 2020 January where Cedric and Pablo Mari came in, all the way through to the most recent ones, Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, and everything we saw recently. I think most of them, especially those recent signings, have made a massive impression on the team. But let me know in the comment section what stars are you giving these players. Remember how I've rated them from 1 to 5. And yeah, I look forward to reading your opinions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back in this coming week as we look ahead to Liverpool, and what a massive game that will be. Hopefully those signings I mentioned make a massive difference then too. Thanks for watching. See you next time.